Hello. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the first masterclass. And for this masterclass, we have Ruth on board. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ruth. She has been a distinguished leader in the music and entertainment industry for over 16 years. She's currently the Senior Vice President of Content Strategy at Rolling Stone India. Ruth has built and sustained brands through innovative content and music strategies. Uh, with sorry, I'd like to introduce Ruth, and over to you, Ruth.
Thank you, Rohin. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Um, so, like Rohin said, basically, I started my career primarily with broadcast and television, and from there, I moved on. To multiple other categories in my career, but music was always something that was running parallel to everywhere I went. So for some reason, like it's just been a part of my life. Because of work, I've been blessed to have that. And I started off with television, and my longest stint in my career was with PH1 India, where I built it for about 6.5 years. From there, I moved on to, I also launched Comedy Central India at that time. From there, I moved on to NBA, where I was growing basketball in India through multilingual content and live sports production and the launch of the Hindi commentary on the NBA games. From there, I moved on to Universal Music India, where I launched and built Mass Appeal India, followed by the launch of Def Jam India. And from there, I took a slight break in my career because I wanted to see the world a little bit. And after like a 3 month break, 4 month break, I joined Rolling Stone India, where I now head content strategy for the overall brand. We also have a linear feed television channel on GOTV called Rolling Stone Bharat, which I'm working on building the programming for eventually through nonfiction IPs. I think we'll just get started with the topic at hand that I'm here for, the importance of data um, in in the in many industries, in our industry, in music, in an artist's life. Um, I think it's important for all of us to realize that while content is king, and we all go by our vision, creative vision, there are also we also always have to keep our audiences in mind, whether you're an artist or even like a local retail outlet, right? Even they are targeting certain audiences. And when you start off, I think as an artist you have a great creative vision for yourself, which is an amazing thing to have as an end goal. However, data is your support and your backbone to build that creative vision along the way. So I'm just going to start off and give you guys a little bit of a gist as to what all I'm going to touch upon. What I'll do is I'll start off with why you need data in your life, and then I'll go into a category and platform wise breakdown of the kind of tools that are out there across DSPs, broadcast, etc. And from there, I'll then touch upon how you can use data to create your content and optimize it better for your audiences. So I'm just going to start as to why, how, and why. I'll start with the why of data basically in our lives. So one thing is obviously understanding your target audience, where they come from, their cultural influencers, how they live, etc. All of those nuances. The next point is again for your marketing and promotional plans, right? So whether you are deciding on whether to promote yourself on radio or not, again that depends on where your audiences are, and where they are present, what are they consuming. So again that goes back to audiences. Then content, right? How do you use data in your life to better optimize and better create content for your audiences and your fans? And as you grow along the way, obviously, um, the kind of trends that you'll see and emerging in your data at the back end, they also evolve, right? I would like to say tour planning as well, but the thing is, in India, I also know that um the that just take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because I know data is shared at the at with certain, mindsets, and with certain to a close set of people in the industry. I don't think a lot of data is publicly open to artists in India, and I'm talking about Indian entities, right? Not global entities coming to India. um and then the last point is obviously collaborations and partnerships. So, for example, um, while you're skimming through your data, you suddenly come to know that one of your fans uses um, Sensodyne toothpaste. And through the analytics, and suddenly you have a brand that you can target, right? That's an ideal state where you have optimum data being used, and optimum research happening. But then you then go to a brand like Sensodyne and pitch either a song or a product integration within a music video to them, right? So, and then based on your fan demographics, you can share that data with the brand at the back end, and that sort of facilitates a brand conversation. Data is also important here for artist collaborations. For example, um, based on what your fans are listening, what are the top genres they are listening to, or what are sub genres they are listening to, you can also target similar fan artist collaborations within your network, in order to sort of go ahead in your career and get additional and new fans to come in and explore your music. um Okay, from there, I'm now going to go into how you can sort of leverage data across platforms, and we'll take all your questions at the end of this. So please just hold on and bear with me. Uh, so, talking about streaming platforms to begin with, you have a bunch of guides now that the platforms have been putting out, including YouTube, Spotify. I think it's important for artists to regularly keep checking the platforms backend and even their blogs. Each of these platforms have multiple blogs that you can also leverage to check what sort of tools they have there. And so, for example, everyone knows about Spotify for artists. Uh, it's important that you keep checking your streams, the way they are growing, the way, even if there's like a plateau, it's important to keep checking your backend data for that, because eventually when you do have a song that performs, you'll suddenly get a whole new set of ideas based on the trends of that song, who's listening to it, where are they listening to it, and so on. For example, in some countries, since Spotify is a global platform, there are artists that I've seen who've gone from growing to like 2% of a US audience to 12% of a US audience, just because of the right marketing that we had leveraged over a period of time, targeting certain portals based in the US because we wanted to increase the audience for that artist in the US, right? So that's how Spotify for Artists can help you. Apple Music has again backend data analytics and tools available. There's also YouTube for creators. I think YouTube has done a great job with their guides where they actually give you, like these little tutorials and breakdowns on how you can better create content for your fans and engage them. And of course, you also have your YouTube Studio backend where you have YouTube Analytics. Over here, a couple of things are important, right? With YouTube, there's audience retention. That's the main thing, when you're coming up as an artist and growing your fan base for you to look at. Forget about reach when you're an upcoming artist, like supposing you have a limited number of fans and you've just about started off in your career 2 to 3 years, maybe you're at about 30K subs, etc., or 10K subs. So for artists like that, it's important to focus on audience retention because that is where your engagement is going to come from. The longer you can retain your audience's attention on your music video and your song, that will better translate to them consuming your music either on streaming or on YouTube in the form of the music video itself. Spotify also has started music videos. Apple Music always had music videos on them. I think even Ghana now, takes music video submissions from artists. um, Savan again has started an artist-based data app or data platform. I think recently, I think it was last week or so. I think it's called Savan for Artists or something like that. I'm not sure. Rohin, do you know what it's called?
Yeah, it's GeoSound for Artists.
Okay. I couldn't remember the name. Thanks. Yeah, and I think what's also important with YouTube is as you grow as an artist on YouTube, depending on where your fans are coming from, right? For example, you are planning after maybe by next year, you're planning a 3 city tour and you want to know what are the key cities to go to. While you can look at a Book My Show or a Paytm Insider and see what are their key cities, that's great. But the moment you go into YouTube, the moment you go into Spotify, you come to know where your audiences are consuming your music from, right? So maybe in your head, you think that you are a tier one artist and your music is being consumed in Mumbai, but actually your music is being consumed in Delhi more than all of the other cities. And suddenly that becomes your anchor city for your artist tour that you're planning. And that's how you use the audience demographics available there in order to plan your tour. Similarly, I think YouTube and Instagram are both. I know I haven't gone into social media yet, but I'll get there. But YouTube is also responsible for kickstarting the whole influencer creator ecosystem. They were one of the first platforms to actually kickstart YouTube Fan Fest way before anyone was doing anything. There's a whole influencer and creator community that you can also reach out to and collaborate with as you grow. So for example, once you cross 50K to 100, once you cross 100K subs on YouTube, usually you are assigned with a partner manager who can help actually facilitate influencer collaborations and stuff. Even if that is not the case, and if you're at a lower end of the subs, it's fine because there are certain trends on YouTube. Like for example, when you go to the trending section, when you see what's trending on shorts. So it's about also leveraging those trends and sort of collaborating with the right influencers within those trends, right? Maybe like in the top 20 trending shorts, there are only popular influencers, and maybe there's like one up and coming influencer that you get to know about. That influencer would probably be open to collaborating with you more than the other ones, right? Because you also need to figure out how to leverage the collaborations practically. I'm going to jump into social media from here. Uh, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter are the main platforms that everyone's going to. Instagram being the go-to platform, which you guys already know about. I think over the years, what has happened is, YouTube and Instagram primarily they started off with reach and engagement, but people were primarily focusing on views and reach. I think now the industry trend is changing to engagement. um, as an artist, this is a better thing for you because suddenly you have direct fan feedback, right? So for you as an artist, what metrics you should actually cater to are YouTube fan comments, shares on the video, Instagram comments, and there's a way to sort of populate engagement driven copy as well on your profile and with the kind of content you're putting out. So I think if you focus on engage shares and comments followed by views, when you're sort of trying to establish yourself in the industry, suddenly brands are like, oh my god, this artist has so much more engagement than everyone else. Maybe he fits into our scheme of things better than the others. And that's how you sort of evolve your content as well and grow as an artist. Then there's broadcast and radio. So television obviously used to be one of the key drivers for music, but that has changed in the last 15-20 years since YouTube came about. I think it's important for artists to now treat television and radio primarily as sample drivers, because at the end of the day they have wide reach households in the country and eyeballs, right? So tomorrow, even if you get an opportunity to do something for a channel like Doordarshan, never shy away from it, because at the end of the day it's free to air and they are backed by the government and they have like the largest sort of ecosystem out there. But at the same time, even like a VH1, 9X, all of these channels are still relevant simply because they are touching 100 plus households across the country. In fact, television consumption, it has now become like a mix of cable and OTT. Like people are also consuming Netflix, but they are also consuming news channels and live sports on Sony, etc. And I think television and radio, even like when people go to work in the morning, whether you're in tier 1 markets or tier 2 or tier 3, there is still radio consumption happening, which is why these radio channels are still very much alive and doing a great job with their programming. In fact, a lot of radio stations are now doing on ground events, so that's another sort of opening for artists to get into through radio programming. Apart from, and I can go on about radio and broadcast, but I'll move on. There's also physical that I would like to talk about. I know it comes in later in an artist's journey, but even if you're like a couple of subs into the ecosystem, and the moment you touch 1 million monthly listeners or 500K monthly listeners, I think it's important for you to start creating a little bit of merchandise with your logo, so that when you're performing on ground at events, you can treat these as giveaways for your audience, because that becomes direct fan engagement for you as an artist. The other thing is, with physical, eventually I would also, once you touch success as an artist, and success can mean different for different things for different people, but once you consider yourself a successful artist and you have a body of work, definitely look at vinyls as an option. And then obviously merchandise with vinyls, it goes into a whole e-com ecosystem, right? So then suddenly you're not just building your gigs, you're not just building streaming, but you're building these other forms of revenue for you to function, right? And that's how you grow along the way. I'm going to quickly get into a bunch of tools that you guys can use. Canva, I'm sure everyone's already using. But there's also, now these are, some of these are paid tools. So I know not everyone can afford them, but I'm anyway going to leave these names out there. One of the most efficient tools that I have seen for digital and social media tracking is Tubular. They have a lot of white papers and reports that come out on the music industry as well, and media and entertainment as at large. So even if you can't buy Tubular, definitely subscribe to the newsletter, because they have great trends that you can follow and keep a watch out for. Then that's not India centric, it's global, but again, that helps, right? Because tomorrow you see a trend that maybe appeals to you culturally, or that you think you can sort of cross pollinate within your content, you can always use that trend to create engaging social or YouTube content on your channels. The other one is obviously chart metric that everyone knows about. They do have a free 1 month subscription, but then after that it becomes paid. Chartmetric by far has been one of the best tools I have seen, but in India they still need a lot of data cleaning up, which I think will take time. I know it's tough for artists to sort of get that one tool, and I think this is where India does have scope for that one streaming platform tool that collates all your data into a nice dashboard that you can just log into and look at on a weekly or monthly basis. Apart from that, we have a very cool platform and a very old platform for artists to engage with their fans directly and to actually know what fans think about their music. And it's Reddit. Everyone's on it. It's just about going there and checking for feedback. And also, uh, you know, uh, you can also go to Reddit and look at it from a category perspective. For example, you're a classical tabla player, but you want to see, what's the classical Indian music system like for fans. Reddit is a place for you to go and just, check and live with all of that data and fan comments that you get from there. Um, then there's Jasper.ai, which creates content, and supercreator.ai, which again creates content with script inputs. Stockimage.ai for images and design. So these are a few tools. What we'll do is we'll put these up on the Artist Alley group later, and you guys can check these out. I'm really quickly going to now deep dive into the importance of using data in content creation, right? And before I go into this, I'm going to touch a little bit on streaming, right? Um, I think it's important once you've reached substantial amount of streams to also not lose sight of your artistic vision, right? Um, because at the end of the day, that is equally important. Always have a vision board for yourself as an artist as to what you want to do and how you want to get there. Use data to dictate who you're going to collaborate with next on your next song. Use data to figure out who you have to target for your next social media content piece or your ad, or your social media content piece, or your next marketing campaign, right? That you're planning for your next release. So use data from that lens. I think it's important for artists to also remember that they are an artist. And I know it becomes tough, but Okay, sorry, I was reading one of the comments in the group, but so I'm just going to jump into the content creation bit. I think, using data analytics is also important to create relevant content for your target audiences. And depending on your analytics, you can automatically start creating content, keeping them in mind rather than keeping a wider fan base, right? For example, through your content, you come to know that there's a 10 not 10. There's a 15 or 17-year-old sitting in Jaipur listening to you. Suddenly, you can collaborate with a local Jaipur artist and release a song. And automatically, your streaming numbers will grow in that region. So, it's about using the data in the right way. And for content, it's also important, like I said, to understand audience preferences. And sort of what happens is along the way, maybe something that your audiences are listening to, or maybe you see the kind of culture they are coming from, and in your next song, you sort of include a cultural reference to your audience. So you can always find synergies in that from a content perspective. Again, like I said, it's important to stay on top of trends and influences, because tomorrow you never know. You could include something like the next new pair of sneakers that have come out, which you have in your music video, and suddenly that goes viral. So it's always important to keep looking at what's moving and what conversations are happening on social media, and what's trending. Like I know an artist who recently created a song as a tribute to a Bollywood actress, and now that song is being targeted at all handles with the name Rekha in it, for example. um Apart from that, again, like I said, creative collaboration opportunities, digging into that, and sort of leveraging artists with similar listenership like yours, or sometimes you can even cross pollinate by collaborating with artists who are completely different from your sound, right? But at the same time, always keep engagement in mind, like I said. uh, Again, data on streaming can also help you figure out, supposing your audience likes Arijit Singh, for lack of a better word. Suddenly, you can create a playlist on Spotify with your favorite Arijit Singh songs. And you'll have traffic coming in to listen to your playlist on your profile, thereby sampling the music on your profile. So, again, you have to use uh, these data points to sort of cross promote your music to your audience sets and your fans. Um, that's about it, I think, from my end. I think I've covered all my points. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry, I'm a little aware of the time, so I'm trying to keep it as short as possible.
Hi, Ruth. Hello.
Hi,
Yeah, actually, so my question might not directly relate to data. Okay,
that's
but
fine.
yeah, so it's like, see, yeah, as an independent artist, we are like managing our data also. We are managing our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Shorts, and all of these things together, posting on WhatsApp stories, Insta stories, Facebook stories, everywhere. But
Yeah,
and then we are managing our expenses just to produce and release good music and then market it. But I just want to get an insight from you, if you can, if something comes up to your mind right now, that like if we are having so many songs coming up, some labels are taking our songs maybe, or if I talk about myself, I am about to write and sing for a couple of labels, uh,
Yeah.
giving a song to a couple of labels and releasing my own songs along with that, and also doing several other things just to manage my art things, right? So
Yeah.
in this like at this stage we are always for example, myself, I'm looking for people every day. I am searching for people. uh, See, strategy सबको चाहिए कि strategy क्या होनी चाहिए ये वो, but we are always in search of someone or some company or anything ऐसा कुछ इंडिया में there are individual artist managers these days, a lot of them, but it's like या तो they are very big players or they are nothing, या फिर they are only big players और कोई है ही नहीं, right? So even the label wants numbers. अगर numbers हैं या फिर एक अच्छा
Only the label wants numbers.
yeah, but even the artist managers or people
Yeah.
in this league also, they
Yeah,
also
even I'm facing that issue. I know what you mean.
correct. Even I tried to
Yeah.
reach out to you also, I remember on LinkedIn for the same. So
Yeah, but I'm not with a label anymore. Just remember that.
yeah. So like for that, if you can guide or suggest something like uh how to someone manage, or maybe is it possible to find people or show, you know, take help from someone ki how to strategize the
So
upcoming.
I'll tell you what, this is an industry problem in India. Unfortunately, there aren't enough managers out there.
Yes,
The managers who are managing existing people are already with them,
right,
either through friends
correct,
or because of some X factor they've seen in that artist and they've gone with them, right?
correct,
I think right now it's more important than ever for artists to also use their personal, relationships in life. For example, I know some artists who were being managed by their best friends
yeah,
and they grew along the way. I know some artists who have changed multiple managers along the way of their career and artist journey and eventually found the right sort of having a manager in your life is like having a shadow. Okay.
correct,
This guy is going to be on top of you or girl, whoever. And they are going to make sure that you are delivering on everything 24 by 7, right?
right,
The thing is that right now it's become more important than ever for you guys to use your personal relationships like your friends, etc. Because for you to get to those numbers that labels are looking at, right, you need someone you can rely on and trust. I think trust is a very important factor that comes in with a manager. Tomorrow I can advise you for 1 hour on how to do, what to do, etc,
correct,
etc, right? How to grow your fan base, all of that. I have to just do a one hour session with you, listen to your music. Immediately I'll give you pointers from your music itself as to what all you can do. But
correct,
that is one part of it. Your manager is your buddy, your manager is your friend. Your manager is the one who's going to get you on schedule, make sure you're going into the studio, making music, make sure you're posting on Instagram and all of that, plus getting you gigs, right? Plus getting you your brand integrations. So I think it's important for people to, I mean, for artists right now to also look at their close network and see within that network who they know, who they can reach out to. For example, if you know other artists, try to find out who's managing them. The thing is, right now in India, it's an industry problem because there are only individual managers and there are very few, company based management companies,
right,
is what I'm trying to say. And the thing is, even if you go to a management company tomorrow, the percentage that they'll take is like exorbitant, right?
right.
But that is what the industry
Uh-huh.
is. And the best solution for you, honestly, is to look at your close network. Like, I know some artists whose childhood friends are managing them or were managing them. And then as they grew, the management duties shifted.
Right.
We have too many artists right now in India, too much music coming out on a daily basis, and less managers who are trustworthy. And I
Correct.
think if anyone wants to take this up as a business opportunity, feel free to do so.
Yeah. Yes, cool. There's one more question. Yeah. So, if I have, suppose if I have 5 or 6 or like more than that number of songs that I feel like, for example, I have 20, 25 songs, and out of those 6 or 7 I feel are really good, or they can be taken by some label or some web series or those kind of platform. Okay, but then for reaching out to them, as we discussed, we like some of us, we do not have proper managers or someone who can connect us with people, right? So now in that case, if we are not able to reach out to these directors or labels or those, should we release a couple of those songs just by ourselves, uh, or just we should wait uh, to find out people or something? I guess ideally, yeah.
So I think do a distribution deal. There are enough distribution companies in India right now.
Yeah.
And just start releasing your music. You can wait 1 year, you can wait 1.5, 2 years, but if you're waiting more than 2 years, it doesn't make sense.
Correct.
Start putting your music out. You can do one release in every 4 to 5 months. So
Yeah.
that means you can plan for 3 releases a year and sort of
Correct.
do your live events, gigs, and all of that also, so that at least you have something that's coming out on your artist channel steadily. Because there's no point waiting for labels now. Labels have their, like, they are all looking at data and they are all looking at numbers,
Yes.
right? Artist के नाम पास numbers है तो हम लोग sign करेंगे.
Correct.
नंबर्स नहीं है तो इतना ही
Yeah.
स्प्लिट हो सकता है, इतना ही रेव शेयर मिल सकता है, और कुछ
Yes.
नहीं हो सकता है. So I know what you're trying to get at, and I think the only solution for you is to stick to your network, figure out someone that you trust who can be your manager, or even who can be your booking agent to take on those responsibilities
Right.
and help you out to begin with. Second thing is talk to a couple of distribution companies. See, also it's important here for you to first get feedback on your music, right?
Right.
Um, Whether you're talking to your friends or your family, get feedback. Ask them how they like your music. Ask them what they feel when they listen to your music. So that will give you more direction on whether they are liking your music or not.
Yes.
And then you can automatically sort of figure out, okay, which songs should I go to market with. Maybe there's one song that you don't like but your family
Right.
likes it more, or your
Right.
friend likes it more, and your friend is like, "Arey, ye kya gana banaya hai?"
Ah.
So
Yes.
then you suddenly, आपको different perspective आएगा वो गाने से, and then you can take that song to a label for a pitch
Correct. Even
and
if
see
it's
their reaction.
released, or right,
Sorry.
even if it's released, is it?
If it's released, the label won't touch that song,
Right.
but you never know this. Like, they
Correct.
are
Yeah.
also acquiring viral songs
Yeah.
that
If
have gone
if
viral.
yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes,
so it depends. It depends
yes.
on the label strategy and all of that.
Correct. Correct. All right.
But I'm
Thank.
saying make your family and friends listen to your unreleased music also.
Yes. Yes. Got it. All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Okay, I'm going to take a question from Arun. If there's any software available for managing all data of an artist. Wow, another business opportunity. See, everything's split, right? Because data sharing doesn't happen across platforms. So social media, digital, there's Tubular, like I was saying. For music and music streaming, there's Chartmetric, DSPs basically, and YouTube. There's Chartmetric, there's Sound Charts from what I know of. So, I mean, honestly, like, even I'm looking for one tool that I can just go to and click a button and get all my data and analytics for, but it's not there yet. um, Parijat has a question. What is the role of photographers and DOPs in marketing the artist? Very important role. You guys are clicking their pictures. You guys are making their content. You guys are making the music video and BTS. You all are very important. The moment you work on something with an artist, always push it out on a story or as a post, because and tag the artist also, because the more love you give the people you're working with, the more love you get back. And also for the artist, it's important um, because there's a reason you're collaborating with the artist, right? I know money is one reason we all collaborate for money, but there's also a creative inclination, right? So please don't shy away from promoting the artist and from pushing the artist in your circle, your families, your network of friends when you work on a music video or when you release some BTS images or some key art with the artist. You know, it can be anything, it can be a photo shoot, but obviously do it with the consent of the artist once the release is out. Don't do it like behind his back without informing her or him about it. I hope that answers your question. Is it better to make songs in just a single genre or language? Uh, so honestly, there's no one size fits all. There's no formula anymore, right? It depends on what genres you like, what genres your audience is listening to. Again, languages depends on your audiences, depends on what language you can talk, speak, read, write. All of that is important when you're writing lyrics, right? For example, I can write in English even though I know Hindi, but I know I can't write in Hindi. So I always write whatever I'm doing in English. And then later, if I need to, I convert it into Hindi, right? I'm just giving you my example. But there's no one single genre. Honestly, it depends on your journey. If if you think you like hip hop and you want to experiment in that genre, then you can try your hand at rapping. But at the end of the day, anything you're trying, just remember, most of the my advice to most artists is please practice. Whether you're doing pop, whether you're doing hip hop, if you're a vocalist, if you're a singer, if you're a songwriter, if you're not practicing every day, you're not going to get and the right output, and you're not going to evolve eventually. So I think riyaz, what we call it in Hindi, is it Hindi or Sanskrit? Rohin. I think that is the most important part of being an artist, and never forget that. I know our lives get super hectic and busy, but it's important to inculcate that in your life in order to grow and evolve in your journey. Any more questions? Most welcome. Rohin, I think you can jump in.
All right. Firstly, thank you, Ruth, for taking the time and sharing your experience with all the artists. Just want to let you guys know a recording of this masterclass is going to be available really soon on the WhatsApp Artists Alike community group. We do have a bunch of masterclass happening every week. So stay tuned. We have one tomorrow with Drishti. Can you help me with who's the masterclass tomorrow with?
We have one with Aniket Rajgarya about creating an online presence as an artist.
Awesome. So yeah, we have a lot of things coming up. So check out the space and thank you for joining. Thank you, Ruth.
And Rohin, do you want to ask me one or two questions from your bank?
Sure. I think something I feel is super important. Every artist starting out and like trying to build a brand pretty much works like a startup. So there are a lot of things that you got to do by yourself. And something that I feel is super important is to have a great database. So anyhow, if you can collect email IDs of, your fans, so you can, kind of tease your song to them, build a community. The same thing goes with, having a bunch of curators who curate music, either it's playlists, either their media outlets. So I think it's always super important to build that database. So if you could highlight, Ruth, what are some of the ways how artists in today's age and time can collect this database while releasing their music?
Okay, sure. Wow. That's a great question. So everyone's placing a lot of importance on community building nowadays, which is great if you're running a company, right? But what do you do as an artist? What I've seen work most successfully in the past with independent artists is personalized newsletters. So I follow one of the co-founders of Chainsmokers on LinkedIn, and he puts up some really interesting stories about how they became the chain smokers, and sort of what they are doing now, and how they are working now with the different people from the industry, right? um, and he, in one of his posts, I read a very important thing that they were doing early on, in the start of their career. He mentioned he would send out a blast of his upcoming music to about 100 people. And what started happening is, out of those 100 people, 10 of them would write back and say that, oh, we love your music, and there would be some conversions from there. I think what has changed from then to now is that now you need to curate your database as well, your email database. In order to even build your email database, like I always say, network with people. You guys, as artists, go out to so many gigs that y'all attend. I know a lot of y'all are shy, a lot of y'all are not. But the idea is, every time you meet someone from the industry, keep adding them to your database, right? In 6 months, if you do this practice religiously, over time, between your friends and the industry networking that you do, and acquaintances that you come across, you'll easily have about 50 names at least in your database. Worst case, I'm saying, if you go out like even once a month or twice a month. uh, and once you have that database, I think it's important to curate what you're pushing out to that database. Whether it's your new music, whether it is referencing or asking them for a referral to another industry executive for sync opportunities. So you need to also start thinking in that direction as an artist. Unfortunately or fortunately, in today's day and age, artists are like businessmen as well, because you have to put on your creative hat, and then you have to put on your business and networking hat as well a lot of times. But yeah, I think all of you all should definitely keep networking as a number one priority, right? Because gigs are like the easiest way to meet people. um that's the only sort of advice I can give you. And then obviously on Instagram, YouTube is a little tougher, but on Instagram you have all your followers, right? You can even do a push message, direct DM to all your followers, and sort of get the email IDs from there and build your database through that. Uh, Even if you have like 10,000 followers and 1,000 of them reply, suddenly you have a big database, right, to dig into and start pushing out newsletters. And I mean, your new releases too, not newsletters. Ignore that. But suddenly you'll have a database of people you can just start pushing out your new music to. Just remember, whenever you're doing email sort of marketing, as we say, always make sure it's very visually attractive. Like, don't just put a YouTube link in there and leave it, because no one will open it, right? If your key art has a great look, make key art front and center. If your thumbnail has a great look, make your thumbnail front and center, and then push it out, make it clickable, because people like visually appealing images more than just seeing one link and then ignoring it or clicking on it. So yeah, that's my only advice. And Rohin, if you want to add anything else, feel free to do so.
I feel you covered most of it. So yeah, that's great. Build the database. If you can improve that by 50 emails per year, you're just getting stronger and building that leverage for yourself, which a lot of artists are not doing out there. So yeah, the idea is to have a massive database who you can communicate with, and they can, they can be your road to success. And yeah, I think that's about it.
And before we leave, since a lot of y'all asked me for tools, I'm just going to list out a few more. Bandcamp, another very important platform. There's SoundCloud for artists. There's Spotify for artists. Like I said, YouTube Creator Studio, Amazon Music for artists, for smart links for your DSP links and your YouTube link, combining it into one short or small smart link. There's Amplify, Feature FM, Linkfire, Linktree. We all know about those. Music Jet, Soundplate, and then you have a ton of distributors as well. I can circulate a list of these on the group that Rohin and Drishti have dropped in the chat box. So you guys can just get onto that group, and shortly after this call, we'll drop in like a list of music industry data tools that you guys can start looking at. In the beginning, you can just start by focusing on maybe Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube to begin with, and then from there go wider. I hope that answers everyone's questions. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for your questions. They were very interesting. And have a great night, everyone.